Good morning, my dear students. So, we will continue our chapter number 20, locomotion and movement. So, as we discussed in our previous video presentations, in that with the help of slide, we have seen different muscles. We discussed the unit of muscles and actin and myosin. So, next topic, what we are going to study today, that is mechanism of muscle contraction. So, now as we are aware how the muscles get contracted and how it get relaxed. So relaxations and muscle contraction, that mechanism we are going to study now. So as you can see, the mechanism of the muscle contraction, according to the sliding filament theory, this is one of the theory in the contractions of a muscle fiber occurs by the sliding of the thin filaments acting over the thick filament myosin. So how the muscles get contracted with the help of, we can understand the theory which is called sliding filament and the thin filament acting over the thick filament myosin. So here we can see that the thick filament, this is we call as a myosin, and thin filament we call as a actin. So different steps are there. First step is an impulse from CNS, that is our central nervous system, reaches the neuromuscular junction in the motor end plate via motor neurons, and that muscles, that the impulse will reach to the muscles, and the neuromuscular junction will reach to the neuromuscular junction is the synapse between a motor neuron and the sarcolemma of a muscle fiber, and a motor neuron plus muscle fiber we consider a motor unit. So that we have to see. So here second step is first step is neuromuscular junction, and next is the synaptic vesicles release a neurotransmitter, that is acetylcholine. Now acetylcholine is a main hormone which is released by CNS, that is central nervous system, and it regulates actin potential in the sarcolemma that spreads through the muscle fiber, and it causes the release of calcium ions from sarcoplasmic cisternae into the sarcoplasm. Okay, so that you have to understand. You can see here the neuromuscular junction and sarcoplasm. So here third step is calcium bind with the subunits of troponin on actin filament and unmark the active sites for the myosin. So different steps I am giving you so you can understand. Using the energy from ATP hydrolysis, myosin head binds to active site on the actin to form a crossbeam. This pulls the actin filament on both sides towards the center of A band, that is actin band. Actin filament partially overlaps so that H joint will be disappear. So that is the reason. So these steps we need to understand. These are the steps for the muscle contraction. Now the jet line attached to actins also pull inward. It causes the shortening or contraction of sarcomere, and I bands get shortened and A bands retain the length. So that is why you can see the muscles which are get contracted, and after that it will get length also, it will relax. And myosin release the ADP, adenosine diphosphate, and PI phospholipid, and goes back to its relaxed state. A new ATP binds and the cross bridge is broken, and the ATP is again hydrolyzed by the myosin head, and the above processes are repeated causing the further slide. Okay, so these are the steps. When important thing is that when calcium ion are pumped back to the sarcoplasmic cisternae, and the active filaments are again marked. As a result, jet line return to the if you know that these are origins of the position is resulting to the relaxation. My dear student, what we have to understand here, relaxation and contraction. Once the contraction happen, after immediately relaxation would be there, and ATP and calcium plays an important role here. You can see the calcium ions are formed back to the sarcoplasm. The sarcoplasmic, you can see it, the sarcoplasmic cisternae. So all things, all the main things are taking part in it. The muscles of the contraction. So when the muscles get contract, they are secreting lactic acid, if you know that. Because when we are moving, we are running very fast. After a few minutes, we will get cramp. And cramp due to the lactic acid, because muscles need instant energy in the form of ATP, and they produce accumulation of lactic acid. It causes muscle fatigue, and this is due to the anaerobic breakdown of glycogen into muscles that we know in 10th standard. If you have seen one of the topic, the breakdown of glucose in one condition, aerobic condition, second is anaerobic condition. So this is an anaerobic condition reaction in the lactic acid is producing. So that is breakdown of glycogen into muscles. So red muscle fibers and the white muscle fibers. So this is one difference between red muscle fibers that we call aerobic, white muscle fibers. So here red color due to myoglobin. Okay, and the more mitochondrial aerobic metabolism and slow and sustained contraction. They need slow and sustained contraction. White muscle fiber, white color due to the lesser myoglobin, less mitochondrial anaerobic metabolism, fast contraction for short period. Okay, so that these are the differences between red muscles and white muscle fibers. So human skeletal system that we need to discuss, because this already been taught in a previous standards. Suppose it was there in the first standard also, because it's mentioned that the skeletal system, it was in lower standard. It means the functions of skeleton, what is the function of skeleton, what are the organs involved in it, and without muscles, without skeleton, our body looks like a jelly. So this type of previous knowledge you may have. So here some human skeletal system related topics we are going to study. So here, as we are aware that, all we know that there are 206 bones that consist of framework of bones and a few cartilages. And as you know that the newborn baby, when the baby born, whether it's boy or girl, it contains 300 bones, and after that it reduces at adult stage 206 bones. So that we are aware, the cartilage has slightly pliable matrix due to the contracting salts. So calcium salts plays an important role. Remember that calcium plays an important role to make the bones hard. So human skeletal system, in that axial skeleton 80 bones and appendicular skeleton 126 bones. So axial skeleton 80 bones, they are divided into 4: bones of head, vertebral column, sternum and ribs. So these are the 4 axial skeleton, and then appendicular skeleton, that is 126 bones. In the bones of forelimbs, bones of hind limbs, pectoral gills and pelvic gills. Okay, so here HVSR also you can remember, then FHPP. So like that also you can remember. It is up to you how you will remember. So here axial skeleton. So quickly we will try to understand the bones of the head. There are 29 bones. In 4th standard it was there. It was there in the 5th standard also. So related to the topic, just we are revising. So here bones of the head, 29 bones are there. It includes the skull, hyoid and ear ossicles. So skull 22 bones are there, hyoid 1 bone and ear ossicles that are 6 bones. Then the skull 22 bones. It includes the cranial bones and the facial bones. The cranial bones 8 and facial bones 14. So here different names are there, including the frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital, symphoid and ethmoid. So these are some cranial bones names are there, and physical bone, that is facial bones. In that is nasals, that is maxillae, zygomatrix, lacrimal axle and melanine. Even inferior nasals and mandible and vomer. So here next bones of the head 29. You can see here the hyoid bone 1. U-shaped bone found at the floor of buccal cavity. So this bone I am talking about, hyoid bone. Which bone? Hyoid bone. So it is U-shaped. You can see here. Next the ear ossicles. There are miliaris, incus and steps. This you will observe here, and they are very minute. They are very delicate. Okay. So because of these bones, ear vibrate, and we can able to hear. Now bones of the head. Again the skull articles with the first vertebrae of the vertebral column with the help of the two occipital candidates, that is a dicotyledoned skull. Vertebral column 26 vertebrae. They have 5 types: cervical vertebrae, thoracic vertebrae, then lumbar vertebrae, sacral vertebrae, and coccygeal vertebrae. So this we need to remember these names. So that is our main focus on. The vertebrae has a central hollow position, that is called neural canal. I am telling you, you can see here, it is a neural canal. You can see, okay? So just we will go very quickly so we can understand. Otherwise, if I will discuss more, so it is difficult to understand. So we are going to point. So sternum, that is wrist bone. It is a flat bone on the ventral midline of thorax. You can see here this one. Next are the ribs. There are 12 ribs. So 3 types: 2 ribs, bronchial ribs and floating ribs. Floating ribs only 11 and 12 number that we know. And the ribs again they are bicephalic, because each ribs has 2 articulation surfaces on its dorsal end. So it is called bicephalic. And 2 ribs are attached to thoracic vertebrae and ventrally contracted to stand up with the help of hyaline cartilage. The first rib do not articulate directly with the sternum, but join the 7th rib with the help of hyaline cartilage. Floating ribs are not connected ventrally, so that also we need to understand. So my dear students, we are discussing in detail all things. So for your understanding, all things are there in the textbook also. Just we have to focus on. Now bones of the forelimbs, 60 bones are there. That is humerus, radius and ulna, carpals, metacarpals and phalanges. Okay, so this type of bones you are aware about. Bones of the hind limbs, that is femur, patella, tibia, tarsus, metatarsals and femur. Next is pectoral gills, that 4 bones are there. They are formed by clavicle, that is the collar bones, 2 are there, and scapula, that is shoulder bones. This we are talking about. The pectoral gills, that is called scapula, is a larger triangular plate bone situated in the dorsal part of the thorax between second and seventh rib. You can see here second and seventh rib. You will find this scapula, and they are acromion. So clerical articles with this. Next is the pelvic gills. They are formed by two coxal bones, and each coxal bone is formed by the fusion of three bones, that is ilium, ischium and pubis. Okay, so these are the three bones. That is pelvic gills. At the point of fusion of ilium, the ischium and the pubis is a cavity, that is an acetabulum, to which the thigh bone articulates. So this is thigh bone, you are aware of, and the two halves of the pelvic gills meet vertically to form pubic symphysis containing fibrous cartilage. So this I am talking about this part. Okay. And the joints. There are many joints. We know joints are many. Ball and socket joint. Then some joints are movable, some joints are not movable, so and some joints are free. So that all things we need to discuss. The joints are the point of contact between bones or between bones and the cartilage, and they are three types: fibrous bone, fibral joints, that is immovable joints; cartilaginous, that is slightly movable joints; and synovial, that is movable joints. So first, fibrous joint, they are immovable. They are immovable, means they are not moving, and the situates between flat skull bones. So here, if you know that the skull is a immovable joint. The cartilaginous bones, they are slightly movable joints. You can see our vertical column joint between the adjacent vertebrae. So this one are slightly movable cartilaginous bones. Synovial joints, they are movable. So they are characterized by the presence of fluid-filled synovial cavity between the articulating surface of the two bones. So they are movable. So you can see this one. So these are movable, and the knee portion also it is movable. So here types of synovial joints: the ball and socket joints we know, hinge joint, pivot joint, gliding joint, and saddle joint. So ball and socket joint, this part, if you know that, the shoulder point, the shoulder part, shoulder joint, and the hip joint. Hinge joint, the knee and elbow. Hinge, only one direction. Pivot joint, which is here, only this part. So it is a joint between atlas and axis. The gliding joint, this gliding joint, and the saddle joint between the carpet and the metacarpal of the thumbs. So this one. Okay, so this I am talking about. So disorders of the muscular system. This is the last and final topic for the discussion. Disorders of the muscular system. So here different disorders related to the muscular systems, in that the disorders of the muscular system and the skeletal system. So here it's a myasthenia gravis. It is a myasthenia gravis. So autoimmune disorder. It is an autoimmune disorder. It affects neuromuscular junction, and it leads to fatigue, weakening, and paralysis of skeletal muscles. So these all the topics are related to the gravis. That is the myasthenia gravis. So this disorder is related to the autoimmune system. Next is muscle dystrophy. Muscle dystrophy, if you know that, the progressive degeneration of skeletal muscles, and mostly due to the genetic disorder. So this muscular dystrophy, it is a genetic disorder related to the muscles. You can see this body tenon. So it is the rapid span in a muscle due to low calcium in the body fluid. So here the rapid span, that is a tenuity. Tenuity generally it has a very low calcium in the body fluid. So that is why you can see sometimes we are not able to hold any object, any material. So because of low calcium in the bones. Next, arthritis. Now arthritis is what? It is the inflammation of joints. It is the inflammation of the joints, and arthritis is considered a very dangerous disease of the muscles. Very dangerous disease of the skeleton system. So in that, and osteoporosis. Osteoporosis generally happen at the age-related disorder characterized by decreased bone mass and increased chances of fractures. Okay, fractures generally it's very common. It is an osteoporosis. So in the osteoporosis, normal bone matrix and osteoporosis matrix totally decrease. In that decreased level of estrogen is a common cause. So generally this type of disorders will see in females. Okay, so estrogen is main in that the decreased level of estrogen cause the osteoporosis. Then goats, it is the inflammation of joints due to accumulation of uric acid crystals. So here you can see some joints, some figure you can see uric acid trophy and uric acid crystals are there. So that is why some dysfunctioning of the you can see this fingers, you will see there is inflammation of the joints due to the accumulation of uric acid. So these are some disorders of the muscular system and the skeletal system. So that all things are there in the textbook. Now your turn is to see the NCERT textbook. In them all the topics you have to go through it, especially this chapter number 20. So NCERT question answers, you will download one app. That app name is Class 12 Biology NCERT. So in that you will download that, you will see NCERT question, its solution. All the questions are there, its solution is given. Then you will refer, you just write it down in your notebook as a exercise. So up to here we are discussing. So this is the end of the chapter. All the disorders of muscles and skeleton I have taken. Some additional information also I have provided to you. So it is your turn now to read it properly and consume it. So thank you. Have a nice day. We will continue our biology by taking new chapter, that is chapter number 21. We will discuss later on. Thank you. Have a nice day.